Welcome to the um, the April 12th meeting of 2023 of the Zoning Hearing Board for the City of Reading. I would like to introduce the members of the zoning board. Let's see. We'll start with Charlie.
Charlie Jones, alternate member of the board.
Tom,
Tom Fox, member of the board.
Jeff. Jeff, you're muted.
All right, we ready?
Yep, you're still muted, I think.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
You got me?
Yes,
Okay.
we have you now. All right. I know Bill Harsht is on. I just spoke to him a moment ago. He's a member of our board. Miss Steve,
Yes.
okay, you want to introduce yourself?
Steve Price, solicitor to the board.
And our fill-in zoning officer?
Hi, I'm Ruth Sassaman, one of the zoning officers.
Okay, thank you. We have 3 decisions to render this evening. We have 2 time extensions that we need to talk about. So we'll do that first. Mr. Price, we have a
We have a
have
time extension requested by Chelsea Frankowski with respect to Schuylkill Avenue. And that was a decision that was rendered about a year ago for a church use. And although the zoning ordinance says that you have to complete the project within a year, it's my understanding Pennsylvania law does not require that. That once you get your zoning approval, you have your zoning approval. So I would recommend that even though she's requested it, that you grant it. That would be the first one. And that's with respect to 1124 Schuylkill Avenue.
Okay, I will make a motion to grant the extension for 1124 Schuylkill Avenue. Just for people's information, that case dates back to 2021 12. That was case number 12 in February of 2021. But I'll make the motion for the extension. Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, seeing none. All right, Mr. Price, continue.
The second one is Appeal 2023-09, 601 Penn Street. Mr. Cuck, on behalf of Dream Ventures, requested a continuance until next month to make his presentation.
Okay, I will also make a motion to give them that extension. That's quite a complicated project, so I can understand why. So I'll make a motion to give them the extension that they've requested. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And that completes that. Now, we have some appeals to vote on.
Mr. Chairman, 1128 Robinson needs to be held. You need to discuss that in your workshop session because we just got new information. So that we don't have a decision to render until May, and I cleared that with Mr. Fegley.
Yeah, I just was looking at my notes here and I realized that, so I apologize. All right, Appeal 2023-03 is 1000 Lancaster Avenue. Mr. Price.
Is there a motion to appeal or to approve the relief requested subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
Motion,
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
okay. All right, the next matter was Appeal 2023-04, 1500 North 13th Street.
Is there a motion to approve the relief requested subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
I'll make the
moved.
motion.
There's a motion and a second. Are there questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next matter before us is hang on just a minute. Yes, Mr. Harsh.
You good?
All right. Mr. Harsh? Well, we're on the air. Okay, I'll tell the operator. Hang on, hang up. Ruth,
Yes,
Mr. Harsh is still not on. It says he's still waiting. Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yeah.
ask you to pause just for 1 second? Did we discuss, did we do the appeal, 1000 Lancaster Avenue?
Yes. That was
Yeah.
the first one.
We did, okay. Missed
Yeah,
that.
we're okay.
Good.
All right. Among the new cases tonight, we have Appeal 2023-05. It is 408 North 9th Street. And Jose Barroso and Victor De Jesus Ramos are requesting a determination of a dormant commercial use to be deemed non-abandoned under section 600-607F, and then request a special exception of section 600-607D, parameter 6, to substitute a non-conforming use for another non-conforming use. The overall goal of the application is to allow a retail use. The subject property is located in an R3 zone. All right. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Right. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, has notice for this appeal been given?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Price?
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended, and exhibit number 5 is the application, including all of its attachments.
Okay, thank you. I understand we will be using an interpreter for this, so we will swear in Mr. Gran at this time. Mr. Gran, you're still muted. Okay, thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to interpret truthfully and accurately to the best of your ability tonight?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And who are we
Um,
swearing?
Is the applicant present? Are the applicants present? And
yes,
do
they're
we
in
have-
with me in the office.
Okay, thank you.
Phil,
did
I'm
we-
not showing Mr. Harsh to invite into the meeting. I don't have him waiting in the waiting room.
Okay.
He
All right.
needs to go out. He was in an old link. That actually happened to me too. I was waiting. Tell him to go in to the to a new link and just put in on this notice for this hearing. The
Okay.
number is on this April one.
All right.
If he's in
Yeah.
an old link, he's waiting and
Or just tell them to call in.
Yeah. All
He
right.
He can
I will-
call in at 301-715-8592. Do you have his number, Phil?
Yeah.
Why don't you give him a call and give him that number
Okay.
and the code?
All right. Hi, listen, I think you're going to have to get in on the phone. Can you write this down?
The only one that spares me.
It's 301 715 8592. And then you have to put in an ID code. 813 6183 0093 and 298 928.
That's the passcode.
298 928. That's the passcode. Yes, 298 928. Bill, I don't know. I think you're on the wrong link, and I'll explain that to you later. All right, bye. All right, I apologize again. All right, Mr. Price, did you enter your information for this case?
I did, and the interpreter's been sworn, so we need to swear in either Mr. Brioso or Mr. Ramos.
All right. Why don't we swear both of them in, please?
Ok, señor Espiroso y señora Victor Jesús Ramos, alza la mano para prestar juramento.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Ustedes juran que el testimonio que va a presentar será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad.
Y lo juramos.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start this off. And I'm going to start with the letter from the city.
Voy a comenzar con la carta de la ciudad.
Okay. One of the things that is a problem with this case is that the parking lot dimensions have not been given.
Uno de los problemas con este caso es que no se han dado los parámetros del estacionamiento y las dimensiones.
And the room dimensions and the use of rooms has also not been identified on the application.
Entonces no se ha identificado las dimensiones de los cuartos y el uso de cada cuarto en el plano que se entregó.
So my question is, have you sent any of this information to the zoning office since you got this letter?
Desde que usted haya recibido esta carta, usted ha enviado información adicional a la oficina de zonificación con más información.
Sí.
Yes.
You're gonna need to identify who's speaking because
Okay.
there's two of them.
So para la taquígrafa, antes de hablar, tiene que identificar quién está hablando.
José Brioso.
José Brioso. ¿Y cuál era la respuesta, José?
Sí, señor.
Okay, he answered yes, yes.
Okay. Ms. Sassaman.
Yes,
Have you received that information?
we did not receive a parking plan, but we do have an actual floor plan that does list dimensions.
All
So,
right.
mencionó que no recibió un plan de parking, pero sí un plan con las dimensiones de los cuartos.
Nosotros los dejamos el lunes aquí, esto.
We were, this is Barroso talking, we were in here Monday. To give this,
También, con las medidas.
and this has the measurements.
Okay.
Por favor.
So we have the measurements for the rooms and the room identification, but we don't have the information from the parking. Is that correct?
Correct.
Entonces,
They submitted a plan that is just like a photo of the property listing the dimensions. It's not giving any of the parking space dimensions or the actual lot itself.
entonces, ella dijo que usted entregó un plan que es más una fotografía del parqueo, pero no identifica los lugares de estacionamiento, las dimensiones y más detalles como eso.
Okay. I would like to recommend to them that what we do is continue this hearing to next month and have them submit an accurate parking plan the way the zoning office needs it and the way we need it in order to make a fair decision for them. Ask them how they feel about that.
La recomendación mía es que aplazamos la audiencia de hoy para el mes que viene. De esta manera, ustedes tendrán tiempo para entregar un plan de estacionamiento según las reglas y las exigencias de la oficina de zonificación. Y entonces la oficina y ellos pueden analizarlo. ¿Están ustedes dispuestos a posponer la audiencia para el mes que viene para hacer todo eso?
Sí, señor. José Dios.
Jose Brioso, yes, sir.
Okay, and just remind them it does not cost them any more money or anything like that. They're good to go to next month's meeting. Mr. Price, do you have anything that I should add or that I missed?
No, but they should have a, somebody do it who's a professional, who can lay it out so you can see the aisle widths and the widths of the parking spaces and the dimensions of the whole parking lot.
Okay, let the interpreter say that. Ellos mencionaron que no hay ningún otro costo adicional para posponer la audiencia. Ustedes están bien, no tendrá que pagar nada más. Y el señor Price, el abogado para la ciudad, recomienda que busque una persona profesional para hacer ese plano, porque quieren ver los pasillos del estacionamiento y las dimensiones, y eso será de gran ayuda para la ciudad.
Una pregunta que lo voy a hacer.
I have a question, and ¿cómo es su nombre?
Luis.
Luis Ramos.
Tengo también que traer el plano de la oficina que se van a hacer adentro del local. ¿O no?
And do we need an updated plan about the office that we wanted to have on the location?
No, I think the room identification and the specs on the dimensions are fine.
Yo creo que lo que usted ya ha entregado, las dimensiones y especificaciones en el plano que ya se ha entregado es suficiente.
Perfecto, gracias.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Okay, do I need to take a vote on that, Mr. Price?
I would have a vote to continue till next month. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll make a motion to continue this case till next month. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, no opposed. Thank you. All right,
Ellos tomaron el voto para posponer la audiencia para el mes que viene y todo estaba a favor de posponerlo. Ya se ha cerrado esta audiencia para hoy, para ustedes.
Muchísimas gracias.
Okay, thank you. And that's the last matter I believe the interpreter had, unless there was something I wasn't aware of.
no, nothing that I am aware of. Ms. Sassaman, anything you're aware of where we need?
No, that was the only case tonight.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night,
Okay,
everybody.
thanks, Tom. You always do a great job.
Thank you.
Appeal 2023-06, 118 South 9th Street. Eternity Youth LLC is requesting a special exception of section 600-804B, parentheses 4E, pursuant to section 600-1202D, daycare requirements. The section 600-1603A, parentheses 9, parking requirements. The overall goal of the application is to allow an adult daycare facility. The subject property is located in the R3 zoning district. All right, would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, has notice for this appeal been given?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Price.
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended. And exhibit number 5 is the application, including all of its attachments.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present and are they represented by counsel?
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I represent the applicant and he's present. You'll see him with the name Cesar Lopez Escolastico on the screen.
Now, Mr. Jarkin, I know you've done many hearings in front of the board. It might help if you want to do an offer of proof tonight, and then if there's any questions of your witnesses, the board or other members of the audience can ask them questions.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Price.
Before you get started, sir,
Yes.
if you're going to have somebody testify, do we want to swear them in now, even if we don't use them?
Sure.
Okay, why don't we do that?
Okay, so it'll be Mr. Lopez and Mr. Herrera.
Okay. You want to swear them in, please?
You both, please raise your right hand. Do we have them both? Raise
Mr.
your right
Lopez
hand.
looks like he froze there, at least on my screen.
Oh, yeah, it does look like that, yeah.
Let me just, I will send him a quick text message in case he's not aware of that.
Oh.
Cesar, can you hear us?
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll swear in Mr. Herrera at this point, and when Cesar gets back online, then we'll swear him in, and you can continue.
Sounds
Alright.
good.
Do you swear this testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Continue, sir.
Thank you. So as it was already mentioned, this is a property located at 118 South 9th Street. It's in the R3 zoning district residential. Currently, or recently, it was a restaurant / bar or nightclub.
I'm here.
Okay, great. And what the applicant is planning on doing is just creating
I can hear you.
I'm sorry.
It's breaking up. Hello, I'm here. Yes, I do.
Okay. Hold on one second, Cesar.
You're not
So
breaking up for us, Conrad. You're fine for us,
I'm
Conrad.
fine. Okay. So what the applicant is planning on doing is to have a adult daycare on the premises. The plan is to have up to 300 residents, of course, during the day. And that's, of course, if the state will allow it, because as I'm sure you know, there's a lot of oversight on this type of business from the state and licensing, etc. So for the zoning code, as far as parking, the requirement would be one parking spot for every 12 residents and one parking spot for every 2 employees. So if we would ever meet that maximum of 300 people and the maximum of the employees we foresee being needed, which is 10, we would need 30 parking spaces. So what we have attached to the application is a lease agreement for 30 parking spaces on the adjacent properties. And I know in the report from Mr. Neuf, there is concern about continuity. What the application does not reflect that the LLC that is lessor for those parking spaces is owned by Mr. Lopez's wife, who is also going to be involved in running this business because they both have educational and professional background in this line of work. So as far as the building itself, I think it passed all the recent inspections. The plan is to develop the first floor. Can be corrected, but it's around 13,000 square feet. There would be some residents that can get there on. I should mention that the main focus will be on serving residents of the city of Reading. So some people will be able to get there on foot, and there will be a front entrance on 9th Street. that is accessible, has a ramp. And those who are not able to get there will either get there by car, or the business itself, the applicant will be providing bus transportation to and from the site. So we do not foresee a lot of traffic there, because there will be a significant portion of residents that will just be able to be brought by a bus and then taken home also by the bus. Mr. Lopez did some research on the market. He's not aware of a business that will be providing the same services, because it's not going to be just one of those businesses where people can stay during the day. There'll be a lot of activities, a lot of therapy. There'll be residents who are highly functional. There will be also residents with some limitations, such as, like, let's say, dementia. So there will be some activities offered to help them with that, to slow the progress, etc. I think Mr. Lopez even reached out to the Office of Aging, just kind of as part of his research to see if there would be need for something like that. He was met with a lot of enthusiasm from the agency. So someone even mentioned that, like, once if he would be approved, set up and running, that the agency may be interested in contracting with the business, because they said there is such a shortage for this type of for adult daycare. So I think that's in a nutshell what's being proposed here. There will be food services on site, since this is already a bar. There's a kitchen and the facilities where he can food can be prepared for the residents throughout the day. The operating hours that we're proposing, Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. But also keep in mind that some residents may have insurance-related limitations where they are only approved for set amount of hours. So let's say it's 5, 6, 7 hours. So it's also not going to be a situation where if we do get approved and there are 300 residents, that you're going to have 300 people coming in the morning and then all at once leaving. It will be very much staggered. So there are, again, no concerns with the continuity of the parking being available. The plan is to purchase, right now this building is under a lease for 15 years with an option to extend, but the ultimate plan is to also purchase this building, and just so the building and then adjacent properties where the parking would be available are all family owned. So with that being said, if there are any questions for Mr. Lopez or his wife, who I see is sitting right next to him, or Mr. Herrera, please feel free.
Okay, why don't we start with the board members? Charlie, do you have any questions at this time?
No, not at this time.
Tom?
I have no questions, no.
Jeff?
No, and as you know, we know that building well. We were involved intimately with that building. Just make sure that Mr. Herrera talks about how they're going to handle the traffic flow as they arrive at the building. We don't want to have any conflict with the traffic on 9th Street. How's that going to be handled? Just make sure we know that.
Okay. Mr. Harsh, do you have any questions? Okay, Mr. Price?
I don't. So what was that building before, Mr. Catone?
That was the Jet Set
Jet Set.
Oh,
Jet Set Bar. Boy,
That's what,
that was our joy.
I thought it was the old Orioles, but I couldn't, I thought it was, but all right, now I know which one.
You
it is.
get 10 points for positive reuse.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Ackerman, any questions at this point?
No, I do not.
I just,
Okay. Do you want to have Mr. Herrera tell us a little bit about the traffic area? And I will add to that while he's talking about it. Is there going to be any kind of security cameras or things like that? Just for everybody's protection. So we'll let you take it from here. Mr. Herrera, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Do we want to share a screen so you can see the proposed layout and the physical conditions of the place, please?
Who needs to do that? Mrs. Sassman or you?
I don't have the accessibility to do that.
Okay.
I can share my screen then. I have a PDF with the plans on my screen. Can I?
Okay, no.
Does Mr. Herrera have your permission to share his screen with the
Yeah.
plans?
Okay,
Go ahead, Mr. Herrera.
thank you. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so as already mentioned, you guys are familiar with this building. So on this page, we have an aerial view of the place, and there are multiple things that I need to talk about. Let's first discuss the building capabilities for parking. The building has 3 available parking lots, one on the north side, which is in the upper portion of the screen. There's one on the lower side of the building, which it is a south lot. And there is one lot across Peach Street on the west side of the building. Every lot has a capacity of 10 cars. There was a question about accessibility and traffic flow.
Yes.
So as Mr. Jarcina already indicated, there will be a bus service providing pickup and drop off of people using the establishment. So the main entrance for pedestrian walking will be on the south, that is on the lot that is in the south side, which is the lot right below the building. There is accessibility on the side, so people with accessibility limitations will be able to enter the space by the rear of the building. So if I can go to this page, I'm talking specific to the entrance of this door. This door, which faces Peach Street, will be the handicap accessible entrance, and the most ideal parking lot will be this one. So the bus will leave pedestrians here. There is also another entrance on this side of the building, so regular people can enter the building that way, and handicap accessible customers can enter via the Peach Street entrance.
I guess, Mr. Herrera,
Yes.
just so we're clear, you have these nice drawings. Will any traffic be, is there space available for the bus to pause there to let people off? Can they pull in, or must they interrupt traffic? What's the story there on the street?
Okay, I understand your question. Well, there's no, there will not be traffic interruption on 9th Street. As I said, this, I was not prepared to share my screen, so I apologize for that.
It's all right.
So Mr. Herrera, the buses will be in the parking lots, not on the public thoroughfare, correct?
Exactly, yes.
That's it. Good.
The bus this is 9th Street, okay? So the bus will enter 9th Street, will enter from 9th Street, I mean. Oh, this is not working, I'm sorry. So yes, the bus will be parked on the parking lot. People will come down from the truck, from the bus, will enter the building walking, and same way when people is going home. But there will
You
not
said the
be.
magic word. Thank you. That's all we needed to hear, I think.
Good. I'm glad that is clear for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Anybody else, either Mr. Price, Ms. Sassaman, or board member, do you have any other questions for Mr. Herrera?
None.
Okay.
Nope.
Nope.
Is there anybody? Did I hear somebody say something? No, all right. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions of Mr. Herrera?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and your name, we need your name and your address, sir.
Hippolito Oreo Jr., 129 South 9th Street.
You have to spell your name, please.
Hippolito, first name, last name, Oreo, Oriol Jr.
Thank you.
Okay, and your question of Mr. Herrera?
My question is, there are handicap spots that are on the street. I just want to make sure that those are not used for the residents who have handicap parking on the street for their residents are not being used by those coming to the facility, and thus making it difficult for those who have parking, again, on the block for them to park.
Okay, good question. Mr. Herrera, would you be taking any handicap spots away or changing anything on that street?
No, that is a discussion that we have with Mr. Cesar and his wife, and there will not be nobody occupying those spaces, and besides, there is plenty of spaces as far as parking surrounding the building, so they will not be they will not need to occupy those spaces on the street. But I guess when the owner is able to speak, he can elaborate on that and he can explain to you. But there will not be occupancy of those on the street handicap accessible spaces.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. Mr. Do we want to take that down off the screen?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Jarznia. Let me ask this. Does anybody in the audience have any questions of Mr. Jarznia or Mr. Lopez? I think that covers it.
There's one screen that has a raised hand, and I'm not sure if the one with WJ Beeler. I'm not sure if someone is trying to let us know.
Oh, okay, that's Mr. Beeler. Yes, Mr. Beeler, you wanted your name and your address, and I'm sorry, I missed you.
I am Wayne Beeler. I live at 952 North Fifth Street. I am the chairman of the City of Reading Planning Commission. I just wanted to remind the applicant that when we did the Jet Set Restaurant land development plan, it required a PennDOT permit. And it will be the applicant's responsibility to make sure that the existing PennDOT permit does not need to be updated. This PennDOT permit actually held up this plan for about 15 months when it came before us. So I just wanted to mention that because it could be a problem. I don't think it will be, but I think I think it's important to just mention it to the applicant so they are aware.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Beeler. Appreciate that.
Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? If not, I'm going to let Mr. Jarznia the opportunity to wrap up any statements he wants to make. Anything you'd like to say, sir?
Yes, sorry, I just thought maybe there are other questions.
That's all right.
Yeah, just very briefly, as you can see, the proposed use is, let's say, better than the previous use as far as impact on the neighborhood. This should not negatively impact the neighborhood. The surrounding areas will not be affected. It will serve the city of Reading. It provides a service that is in high demand right now and most likely increasing. The owners very competent. They know what they're doing. They did speak to the neighbors just to basically let them know what their plan is, and so far received a very positive feedback. So in light of that, we're just ask the board to approve it, and we're obviously open to conditions such as like the using or not using the handicapped space or other spaces on 9th Street. That's not something we plan on doing. And if there would be residents that are being apply for the service or being admitted, they would receive special instructions not to park on 9th Street.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, if there's nothing else, that'll close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you. And we thank all of you for your participation.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Jarza.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sandy, are you okay?
I am, thank you.
All right, the next matter before us is Appeal 2023-07, 40 Noble Street and 609 Brookline Street. Novus ACS RE LLC is requesting a variance of section 600-812 A and B, H-M dimensional variances and allowed uses. The overall goal of this application is to allow for a medical office. The subject property is located in the HM zoning district. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Price.
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Who's doing that? Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication. Whoever's speaking in Spanish, mute yourself, please. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading. Can we isolate who's has that background noise?
I think it's Miguel.
All right, well, Miguel, mute yourself, please. All right, so before applicant is represented by Mr. Santanasto. Is Mr. Santanasto on?
Yes,
All right, why don't you enter your appearance, sir?
sure. I'll enter my appearance on behalf of the applicant Novus ACS RE LLC.
All right, so I think there's a couple of things that we can do to cut to the chase here. The one issue is whether a medical office is allowed in this HM district. And I did a little homework today and looked at the zoning ordinance. And I think if Mr. Santanasto would ask the board to just do an interpretation that medical offices are allowed as of right due to the definitions and the items that are allowed by right in the HM zoning district, that would negate any testimony with respect to why you need a medical office there. Then the only other things I believe that there's an existing building there and there's existing parking that's sufficient. Is that right, Ms. Sassaman?
We didn't get a parking plan, so though there is a parking lot there, we would need a plan for this proposal.
Okay, so I think we'll need testimony with respect to the size of the parking lot. And then you'll have to submit a plan. But with respect to the office, Mr. Santanasto, if you just ask for an interpretation, I believe you'll find it favorable.
That's correct. We did request an interpretation that Novus ACS's use would be an office which is permitted or as a medical office in this district under the allowed uses permitted by right. Office is indicated there. Medical office is also defined elsewhere, but your definition of office includes a professional office, which we believe this would comply with. Novus does communicable disease testing, some lab work through.
Medical laboratories are allowed in this district. So I think you're going to be just fine there. So why don't we get to the parking?
Sure.
I found out how large of an office it's going to be, how many parking spaces you're going to need, and can you have those parking at that adjacent property?
Sure. The architect reviewed the plan and found that 8 spaces were required. The adjoining lot 609 Brookline consists of 0.26 of an acre, and it has sufficient space for many more than 8 parking spots. If I could share my screen, I do have the overhead view up, and you could tell that it certainly has enough space there. This was also approved previously for shared parking when there was an application for 7 apartment units that were going to be placed into the building. I believe I noted the appeal on my application, and that was approved. But we will submit whatever additional drawings that the zoning officer would like to outline where those spaces would be within the 609 Brookline address. And it is an adjoining parcel, as previously mentioned, which permits this board to grant the relief requested to share that lot.
Yeah, and Mr. Rabin, I looked at the application, and I believe Mr. Santanasto is correct with respect to the office use. It's just a matter of maybe getting a drawing in with respect to the available parking.
Right, and I'm just thinking if he can get that in before we do our deliberation, like in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we could probably do a ruling at next month's meeting if we have that information, or I should say the zoning office has that information too, so that they can review it in time to give us, their feelings of it. Do you think that would be possible, sir?
Absolutely.
All right. Good. I don't have anything else.
Okay. Any board members have any questions of Mr. Sinesto?
Nope.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? All right, seeing none.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be before the board.
Pardon?
It was a pleasure to be before the board tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay.
I was looking for a hand up someplace. All right, thank you, sir.
Take care.
And we'll, depending, if we get that, we'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. So thank you all, and that closes this appeal. Decision will be mailed to you, and you need not be present at next month's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. The next matter before us is Appeal 2023-08, 415 Woodward Street. 415 Woodward LLC is requesting a variances of section 600-804B, R3 allowed uses, 600-902 C and D general provisions, 600-1001 accessory uses, and an interpretation of a second principal use definition applies. The overall goal of the application is to allow 2 apartments in the accessory structure in the backyard. The subject property is located in the R3 zoning district. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Price.
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended. I believe Ms. London represents the applicant, so she should enter her appearance now.
Okay, do you want to enter your appearance, Ms. London?
I will. Are you able to hear me all right? I've been having some problems with the video jumping around considerably. I've switched over to another Wi-Fi network and it hasn't changed. It's the same room I've been doing these hearings from for a year. I'm not sure what the issue is, but you're able to hear me okay?
Now.
You're
Okay.
fine, John.
Okay, good. All right. Enter my appearance, Joan, middle initial E, London, London, Kozloff Stout, 2640 Westview Drive, Wyomissing, 413 415 Woodward LLC.
Okay, do you have anybody that's going to testify? We'll swear them in at this point.
Of 2 witnesses, Jeffrey Charles Pierre and Miguel Herrera. Paul Hawthorne, who is also a member of the LLC, is present on this call, and he'll be available if any questions need to be answered. But I'm going to be presenting Mr. Charles Pierre as the witness for the applicant.
You're welcome to do an offer of proof too, Ms. London.
All right, I can do that right now. Why don't we have the witnesses sworn first?
All right, will you please raise your right hand? We just have one, was that it? Oh, and, okay. Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
And to give an introduction and offer of proof, 413 415 Woodward LLC is the owner of the property at 413 415 Woodward Street. Mr. Charles Pierre has been involved with the property since 2005. He owned it individually. His father had owned it before him. It is a property with 9 apartment units. What they are seeking approval to do is to add 2 apartments to convert an accessory structure into 2 one-bedroom apartments, 588 square feet each, fully code compliant. The accessory structure is connected to the main building by means of a walkway. The apartments would have 1 bedroom, full bath, living area and kitchen as is required. And there would also be 3 parking spaces accommodated on the lot. This is a block in an older neighborhood. These lots are very small. There is a demand for housing. Mr. Charles Pierre would testify that he has been asked about having additional housing and apartments because of a demand for moderately priced code compliant apartments. The viable use would be to add these 2 apartment units. Mr. Charles Pierre, do you have anything to add to that?
The only thing I'd like to add is, like you said before, there's a need of housing. There's a shortage of housing in the neighborhood. And when I took over the property, I renovated both, all the units, and all my tenants are happy and my neighbor is happy. So I'm just doing my best to improve the neighborhood and to provide, units that's needed.
Do you feel that in any way that it would create a condition of overcrowding or be in any way detrimental to the neighborhood?
No, not exactly. The lot is a pretty large lot. As you said, there's an alleyway that goes directly, to the accessory use that we want to convert, and also there's also parking that's accessed through the alleyway in the back.
And does the accessory building have utility?
Yes, it currently has electrical and plumbing from existing use that was used in there.
Okay, and what was the prior use?
I don't know exactly, but I know there was a old sign there that was a construction, I think a general contractor's office.
Okay, so it had been in a past commercial use?
Correct.
And it's not simply a garage that would be, that would have people living in it, as the staff review implied. It would actually be 2 code compliant apartments converted from a prior commercial use.
Correct.
I don't have anything further for Jeff Charles Pierre.
One question is, so the units in the older home, that if there's 7 or 9, I can't remember which, they're grandfathered in, so they don't have probably off-street parking provided. But how much off-street parking can you provide for this 2-unit proposed residential use?
We're proposing 3, the required amount,
And where would that be, sir?
adjacent to the garage from the alleyway. So we have a 30-foot clear opening to the yard. So we can queue in three parking spaces.
So it'd be on your property?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
All right, any board members have any questions at this point?
I do, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm confused because we had this property once before. In that garage, is there a second floor to that garage?
Oh, there's not a second floor. The garage slopes. So towards the garage slopes towards the back of the property. So there's I guess you would call it an attic space, but there's no actual floor on that.
Mr. Fox, this had been on our list maybe a year or 2 ago.
Yeah.
And then it was withdrawn by Mr. Pierre. The one
Yeah.
you're thinking of is up more in Center Park, where there was a garage with the second floor that they proposed to convert to 1 or 2 units. That's the one I think you're remembering.
And you don't know where that was?
Well, I could dig it out, but it's probably 100 zoning decisions ago. But yeah, it was up there. It was up more towards your house.
What?
Okay, so I guess the question is that the only, what would be in that structure, what you're proposing is 2 apartments on the ground floor.
Correct, side by side, 1 story.
All right.
Okay, any other member have any questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. I want to make sure this hasn't been constructed already, has it?
No, it's an existing structure that's.
No,
it's
I'm
just a-
talking about the apartment. You haven't started the apartments are not in the process of being
No.
built already.
No, we're not. No, we're going through this process now. We just.
Okay, because it happens sometimes. Thank you.
Yes, okay.
All right, Ms. Sassaman, any questions or comments?
I would just have a comment on the actual use of this garage. How long ago was this used as a business? Because we have no zoning history of this ever being any type of commercial use.
Well, my father purchased it in 2005. It wasn't used as then. I'm just going based on a sign that I saw that was posted on the building. So I'm thinking that it happened prior to 2005.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Price, anything?
I don't have any questions. It looks like there might be somebody. in the
Yes, I saw the lady.
Yes.
Miss
Your
excuse
name
me.
and address,
You
ma'am?
need, yeah, we need your name and your address.
My name is Fatima Ansari, and I'm the owner of 419 Woodward Street. And Mr. Jeff is right. When we bought 419, I remember next to our garage was like a plumbing type of business. There was lots of plumbing stuff over there. Somebody had the business over there. I remember that. And then they left.
Good, thank you, Mrs. Ansari.
Thank you. That's been helpful.
And I'm very excited because it's an addition to our neighborhood. I made so many changes in that alley. I love that. It's going to be so beautiful. Like I just last week, I hired somebody to clean that alley. It's added. I care about that area. And this is going to be a very good change. Just bringing more foot traffic, it makes such a big difference.
Okay, thank you.
I actually have a question for Ms. Ansari. Did you say
Yes.
you're the owner of 419 Woodward?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you had gotten relief to add units, is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's the reason I'm asking is I submitted 3 decisions related to
The board is, the
Ansari.
board's well aware of those, Mrs.
Okay.
Ansari's petition.
Yeah,
All right.
there is some sort of problem. I'm waiting for that. The builder, they want to go through that section 13, they call it, for the, safety for fire, something like that. And he's supposed to design and bring it there. It's almost ready for us, to finish it.
All right. If there's nothing else that anybody would like to add or have any questions, Mr. Fox, go
Chairman.
ahead.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what I talked about before. Does Mr. Charles Pereira remember us granting relief for parking at the lot at Chill the bar that's just down the street? There were supposed to be some parking spaces available. Do you recollect that?
No, that wasn't us, no, because we have the required parking needed on our property, so we don't need any relief anywhere. We can provide 3 parking spaces for the 2 units that we want to add.
And where will they be?
Adjacent to the garage in the parking lot, we have a 30-foot wide open area that leads into our rear yard. So we would have it queued in 3 parking spaces.
And is anybody in that space now parking cars?
No, it's just an open field right now.
Oh, all right.
Okay. All right, seeing nothing else, and no comment, we'll close this appeal.
I have one other witness to testify.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to call Miguel Herrera, has already been sworn. Just to briefly go over the renderings that he prepared for the conversion.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Herrera, are you employed?
Yes, I am.
We know who Mr. Herrera is.
All right. Accept his qualifications as an expert. All right. And are you familiar with the property located at 413, 415 Woodward Street?
Yes, I am.
Were you retained by the owners to prepare renderings for the possible development of the property?
Yes, I was.
Right. These were attached to the application. And if you could just walk us through the, and if the zoning officer could share the screen and Mr. Herrera could walk us through the plans prepared for 413, 415 Woodward.
I unfortunately cannot share my screen. So Miguel, if you would want to share, you're more than welcome to.
Sure, I have it ready, so I go ahead and share. Okay, so here we have a sheet showing the existing conditions of the building. And there are pictures in the bottom of the screen depicting the existing conditions of the structure. As one of the owners previously described, it was a garage. This is the proposed sheet showing floor plans, aerial views, and building sections of the 2 units. It's going to be 2 units side by side with a 5-rated separation wall in between. The areas of the 2 units will be 588 square feet each one, which exceeds the minimum square footage for 1 bedroom unit. There will be complementary information provided into these drawings to submit to Building and Trades for their approval, and everything required by code will be documented too. And here we can see an existing site plan and a proposed site plan showing the proposed 3 parking spaces that the owners want to place on the site for the tenants to use.
Okay. Is it unusual in your experience to convert an accessory structure to living space?
No, it's something that is very common.
Does the property have anything unusual about it that would present a hardship to its use?
I don't believe there is.
Would allowing the conversion allow the property to be reasonably used?
I believe so. And besides, it goes along with the character of the neighborhood. And I was thrilled and very thankful with the neighbor lady that just testified. I guess beyond and better than that, we cannot hear from a neighbor. She lives right there and she's welcoming the project. So I believe that goes accordingly with the use of the neighbor.
And is this an older neighborhood with mostly smaller lots?
Well, this property has characteristics that are hard to find on these neighborhoods. So I have been living in Reading for 25 years, and most of the time I've been walking up and down downtown Reading, and this property is different and has those potentials to provide these parking spaces.
Now, you showed a rendering with a site plan, and did that show the 3 parking spaces dimensionally compliant?
Yes.
Would the conversion allowing the accessory use be the minimum variance that would be needed for this property?
Well, the areas of the apartments are exceeding the minimum requirements that the zoning ordinance has for 1-bedroom apartments.
But as far as what relief would be needed, would you say this is the minimum variance that would be needed to afford relief?
As far as I know.
Yeah. Would there be any negative impacts on neighboring owners or the neighborhood in allowing this apartment conversion?
I think the impact would be positive for the neighborhood.
Right. And are all the opinions you've offered with a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes.
Right. I don't have any further questions for Mr. Herrera.
I have none.
Okay, any board members?
Nope.
All right, anybody in the audience have a question? All right, seeing none. I had a question for Ms. Sassaman. All right, never mind, I'll forget it. All right, if there's nothing else, that concludes this appeal. The decision will be made at next month's meeting. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you. And we thank all of you for your participation. And Ms. Sassaman, if you can kind of let the zoning people on the screen for a little bit after everybody else is shut down. We always just have a few little things we need to take care of housekeeping.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you next month.
Everybody have a nice day.
Good night.
Good night.
I apologize for the issue with the microphone.
No problem.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Good night, Miguel.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Is it just us, Ruth?
Let's see, BCTV and somebody on the phone still on. They've got a hand up.
Bill's on the phone.
Oh, okay.